Hey everybody, James Introcaso. Before we start the podcast, I just wanted to remind you to head on over to don'tsplitthepodcastnetwork.com and fill out our listener survey. You can find a link for it in the top left-hand corner of the site. When you fill out the survey, it should just take you 5 minutes or less, really. It's a very short survey, and it will help us find the sorts of sponsors and new shows that you want to have on the network. In addition, if you fill out the survey, you will be entered into our drawing to win a free copy of Tomb of Annihilation. So go check it out at don'tsplitthepodcastnetwork.com and help us shape the future of DSPN. This is Tabletop Babble. I'm James Introcaso. Today on the show, I've got Stephen, Chris, and Ed of the AetherCon crew talking about what it takes to put on an online convention. I had some of these guys on last year, and it was pretty amazing. They are blowing up the online convention space. Online conventions are really cool for a lot of reasons we're going to get into, but they're mostly awesome because you don't have to wear pants, which is a thing that I forgot to say during the interview, and I will say now. So here is my interview with Stephen, Chris, and Ed. Okay, everybody, now I am here with three amazing people. We're going to go around the table, let people know who you are and what you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Stephen, let's start with you.
My name is Stephen J Holodinsky. I'm the event coordinator for AetherCon online tabletop role-playing convention. I mean, I do a couple other things there besides just watch other people do things, but I also, with Ed, do some game design under a thing called the Blue Bugbear Collective. It's just a basic lot of fun board card dice type games as opposed to role-playing games, something to do in their spare time.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. You certainly do a ton of stuff. You are a giant in the industry, as it were. And Chris, who are you and what do you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games?
My name's Chris Malidore. I do illustration for pretty much anything I can. That started in the gaming world around 2002. And it's been a bit of a slippery slope since, as I just kind of make my way further and further in. For AetherCon, I'm the Artist Enclave Coordinator. And basically, that's the glorified term for Artist Wrangler. And, we just try to keep the artist side of AetherCon running as smoothly as possible.
Excellent. Well, it's awesome to have you back as well. Really great to talk with you. And Ed, who are you and what do you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games?
Well, in the general world of tabletop role-playing games, I play role-playing games. But more specific to what we're talking about today, I'm the prize wrangler and the RPG coordinator for AetherCon.
Excellent. Well, it's awesome to have you here as well, Ed. Thank you so much for joining us. So we are going to be talking a lot about AetherCon. If people missed our first podcast on this last year, definitely go check it out. We gave a lot of advice about sort of running online conventions in general and how AetherCon works. You guys are no slouches when it comes to this. You've been doing it for years now. And so it is really awesome and exciting. I love to see the world of online conventions growing because they're cheaper to attend, often free to attend. It's easy to get awesome guests because you don't have to fly them out anywhere and that sort of thing. And AetherCon is the gold standard for online conventions. So I'm excited to talk with you all about it today. And it's just like a real in-person convention, we should say. I shouldn't say real because it is a real convention, but it is just like an in-person convention in that you've got it all. There's games, there's panels, there's a vendor's hall. It's pretty awesome. So why don't we start with the vendor's hall? Because I don't think that's something people think about when they think about an online RPG convention. Talk to me a little bit about the vendor's hall. What is it? How does it work?
The vendor's hall basically... we approach different companies that perhaps would like to participate in AetherCon. In order to get into the vendor's hall, they need to run a game at AetherCon. Now, there are several different ways to do this. And so far as virtual tabletops are concerned, you have Roll20, you have Google Hangouts or Roll20 through Google Hangouts. And with the audio, you have all three of those options. You also have Skype and you have Discord this year. The reason we chose those particular programs and not others is outside of Skype, which more or less comes installed on every computer you care to name. All those other programs are all browser based and free, and those are two very important things for us. We did not want there to be any barriers either via money or technology when we started doing this. If you can't play the games without pulling out a technical manual or shelling out a lot of dollars, then that kind of really defeats the purpose of having a convention for people who can't get to conventions. That's why we do it. That's why we chose those. Now, if you're if you're an RPG publisher and you say, yeah, I want to be a part of this, I want to play a game, what do I get for this? Well, I mean, there's a lot of advertising that goes on through various social media platforms. We make sure to get your name out there, your logo out there, your URL out there, so people know where to go to find your stuff. But moreover than that, we have a few other programs, the Summer Roundtable series, the Convention Magazine, and Q&As on AetherCon weekend, as well as various themed panels. And if you run a game at AetherCon and thereby gain access to the vendors all those other doors open up to you. We currently have 17 vendors already confirmed, 17 publishers already confirmed for the vendors hall. I'll just go through them quickly. These are AetherCon 6 renewals, folks we've had last year and in some cases before that. Anthropos Games, Chaosium, Drop Dead Studios, FASA, Hazard Studio, Shades Vengeance, GG Studio, Immersion Studios, Arcanum Syndicate. Chaos, I'm sure you know, is from the UK. GG Studios is, they're from Italy. They are the Italian distributor of Savage Worlds, and they do a lot of their own stuff. Immersion Studios is from Australia. And so far as those that are new to AetherCon this year so far, Biohazard Games is they're bringing back Blue Planet, which is a really cool setting. Everything is underwater. It's something I've read up on it, and I really like it. It's very interesting. It's quite the cool marine setting, almost like a water world. Dave Johnson Games, real old school stuff there. Necrotic Gnome Productions, whom we confirmed today, this afternoon, as a matter of fact. Paths to Adventure, that's Justin Andrew Mason's outfit. A lot of you may know him through his cartography. He's one of the rising stars. He does an incredible amount of work and drinks an incredible amount of energy drinks. I know this. I've seen the table. The Rising Phoenix Games from South Africa, which is really cool. I mean, that's the first time we've ever had anyone in any hall. They were in the prize hall last year, I believe, from South Africa. So that's really cool. We confirmed these folks late last week. Rogue Genius Games, which we're really happy with. This will be their first time with us. Tritac Games, John H. Ryer, and there are a couple other folks whose, darn, I wish I could remember their names. And also we confirmed this afternoon Ulysses North America, which is really cool. We are really looking forward to having them be a part of this. Sally and Melody, those are the two other folks over there at Tritac Studios. We're really happy to have them on board, and we hope to establish a good long relationship with all these people that I've just mentioned, or continue it in the case of those that are already on board. We feel we're doing okay there. 17 folks. I mean, we sent out the first email less than a month ago. So we feel we're doing okay there in terms of numbers, and we should be. We could very well break records again this year.
That's awesome. And it's so great to see so many people getting involved. And it's also one of the great things about AetherCon is I feel like there are a lot of vendors, companies, games that get to have a spotlight on them in a way that you don't get like at a big convention, right? You know, at Gen Con, Paizo gets to buy a lot of that floor, right? And Fantasy Flight Games buys a lot of that floor. But what's cool about this is that, you know, it's a chance to discover some smaller games without having to like fight through crowds and that sort of thing. You know, if I see a booth that's really crowded or it's next to a booth that's really crowded when I'm in an in-person convention, I'm like, I'm good. But this gives you a chance to sort of without the crowds and the anxiety, and you can browse at your leisure. It shines the spotlight on so many different amazing companies and so many amazing games that you can discover. So it's really, really great. And similarly, one of my favorite things to do at an in-person convention is to, you know, walk down the old artist alley, see what the artists are doing. But Chris, there's an artist enclave happening at AetherCon. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So, you know, we work with artists pretty much year round on this. The convention dates itself are in November, but we always have promotional things happening. And a part of that is releasing wallpapers all summer. We have speed painting duels on the weekend of the convention itself and all that. So all of that's wrapped into the Artist Enclave. Now, on the convention weekend itself, all those artists that released wallpapers will have a bit of a shop space available to them to, you know, promote their wares with to the convention audience. So that's sort of how that ties in with, say, your standard artist alley.
Nice. That's really cool. So wallpapers that, you know, if you're at the con, you can just immediately download and throw up onto your computer, right? That's what we're talking about?
Absolutely.
Nice. Yet another advantage of an online convention, I would throw out as well.
And, you know, that's pretty much a year-round process. We've got artists working on those right now, so...
Nice. What kind of wallpapers can we see? What sorts of drawings and art are there?
Well, they're all based off of descriptions that are kind of built up behind the scenes. Nothing really out of a book or anything, but just something creatively to get people thinking games, based on characters and unique settings, and I don't know, just sort of things that bring people back to what got them interested in gaming in the first place.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just meant to inspire people and make them, you know, give them something to smile about.
We're very fortunate this year as we've got not only do we have, you know, folks that have been with us before, but we've also got a couple of really good newer names. I don't know if you have that handy, Chris. You might want to mention a couple.
We do have people who've been around for a while here, like Will O'Brien. He's one of our he's an absolute go-getter. We have Eric Messenger, who's been with us a little while now, and he puts out amazing work. Dion Harris is pretty much a veteran at this point. David Michael Wright is certainly among one of my favorites for his unique visions. Bruno Belixa is coming back, and he was on our cover last year of our convention magazine. And we have that, but we also have people like Robin Flory coming in, Jim Gallo, and Florian Stitz. Wasn't Florian with us in the very beginning, Stephen?
No, this is his first wallpaper for us. Isn't there one of those folks? Isn't one of those folks a Star Wars concept artist?
Yes, I believe that might have been Robin. It's hard to remember what everyone's worked on.
It is.
After years of all these artists, I have a hard time with that a little bit. But no, we have all of these people are industry veterans, really. I mean, they're people who've been making a living off of the gaming field as artists for years. And it's nice to be able to have them give back to the industry a little bit this way, get a little bit of inspiration into the crowd, and hopefully maybe even get some sales on their, you know, convention weekend.
We've always wanted to make, you know, the Artist Enclave, especially the speed painting duels that take place on the weekend, a kind of, you know, a networking meeting place for artists, art directors, and what have you. The people that I won't say they don't judge the speed painting duels, but they oversee them. You know, they call the clock and the screen share flipping and stuff like that. They are all art directors. So I mean, so I mean, when you're doing the speed paint duels, you kind of have an opportunity as an artist to, kibitz with folks who might then, if they don't give you a gig there and then, if they like your stuff, well, hey, now you're in the back of their mind. And it's like, that guy or that girl we saw at AetherCon, they might be a good fit for this particular thing we're doing. And that's what we want to do.
We have certainly had art directors come back saying that they got some good talent off of the speed painting duels, and that's a very comforting thing to know, that we're getting some people some work. But more than that, I just like the talking shop during that weekend, and it's a chance for these people who lock themselves in their little art cave all year round, myself included, which is very isolating to do artwork for a living because you just don't have anyone around you while you're creating a lot of the time. These people can now talk shop with people who can relate with that. And there's something very, very good about that.
That is very, very cool. And it's also very cool that, again, the opportunities being afforded people. Speed painting is awesome. That just sounds like a fun time.
Don't go anywhere. There's more tabletop babble coming up.
Do you ever find yourself thinking, I need more Dungeons and Dragons in my life? Of course you do, because everyone needs more Dungeons and Dragons in their life. Even if you are working on D&D professionally, you need more of it. And if you find yourself thinking this, you should go right now and download the exciting new D&D podcast, Make Believe Heroes, an actual play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventure. When the world of Manumi is threatened by an unknown and unspeakable evil, 4 heroes set forth on a quest to find a sacred grove and save the tree. Lorik Darkbolt, an elf wizard with visions of destiny. Servanst Oftawal, a human paladin serving the will of his god, and the good of the party with stoic devotion. Jem, a quirky half-elven warlock with holes in his dark past. And Kellen, a coming-of-age ranger looking to prove his worth to the world. These are the make-believe heroes. Go now to your nearest podcatcher to download and subscribe the show. For more information, follow the show on Twitter at MBH Podcast. The Grove is waiting.
All right, back to the show.
And another thing I'm very into happening at AetherCon is prizes. Ed, you alluded to this a little bit earlier. How do prizes work at AetherCon, and how does prize support work? It's an online convention.
I would love to tell you about the prizes at AetherCon. We have one of my favorite parts about AetherCon is the way that we're able to get new and interesting products into the hands of people all over the world, giving publishers an opportunity to feature new products and giving players an opportunity to get a hold of things that they might not have an opportunity to find in their local game store. And we have so many different ways to win prizes at AetherCon. If you're playing games, from just being one of the first 25 players to register and actually participate in a game, or being one of the first 25 GMs to register and run a game, all the way up to some of the huge prizes that we have available for voting in the art competitions. For example, the Anvil Alley competition. Last year, we had a total of 10 different vendors that provided close to 50 total actual miniatures that all went to one person who came in, took a look at the competition, and voted on which miniatures they thought were the best. Those guys didn't even have to actually play in a game. They just came and appreciated art. We do the same for our speed painting competitions. If you come in and vote for those, you'll get registered into the Artist Enclave bundle, which has all kinds of great prizes in it as well. But one of my very favorites is the Random Encounter bundle. Now, if you're participating in a game, this is one that you may end up winning. During AetherCon, we will have actual staff members going in and checking in on live games as they're being played, jumping in and picking a participant at random to win a prize out of that bundle. Last year's Random Encounter bundle had hardcover core rule books, had miniatures. We had a signed hardback campaign compendium from Legendary Games. Actually, last year was our first meat-based prize. We had a package that included Tarrasque jerky. It was actually alligator jerky, but it had a Tarrasque jerky label on it.
That's awesome.
Which came from Pangolin Press. Packages of miniatures from Star Hat Miniatures. It was a lot of fun, and we gave it out to people who were just in there enjoying games. And there are a lot of different opportunities for you to get into various prize bundles and win for participating, or even just coming out and liking our social media.
Nice. That's really, really cool that there is so much prize support. And then you don't even need to play games to get some of these prizes is incredible and amazing.
In previous years, last couple, we've had this thing called Bobblebrook's Bazaar, which has been attached to the vendor's hall. This year, we've moved it to the prize hall. So if you do physical prize support for us, then you will get a flow-through booth in Bobblebrook's Bazaar where you can put items your company is selling, and we will basically bring our horses to your water. Okay. Everything is linked to up to 3 different online sales clients. Anything you put in there, you can put up to 3 different places you can buy it. And so they will, they can go and they can look at your stuff. There's an ad in the top right corner for some of the items in there. Anyone who has a booth has one item in there. You can actually get your mitts on stuff even if you don't win the prize. I mean, somebody comes in for the random encounter bundle and they win something. Geez, I almost got that. Well, I mean, you can head on over to that booth and still get it. Right. That, if that guy's going to have a booth in there. And on that note, a couple of things we're adding this year to those booths. One is the Haldegris Bobblebrook bundle, which connects into the second thing. We're going to be able to put a Google Hangout in each of the booths for those people who have those booths that want them. So they will be able to talk live to people attending the convention and talk about their product, why it is a thing. If people have questions about it, they can ask the person who wrote it right there and then. And we feel that this is only going to help vendors reach their clientele and help the clientele reach the vendors. And the Haldegris Bobblebrook's bundle ties into that because it's something that the vendors can have a choice of. Someone comes in and they talk to them or buy something from them. They can give them a tab, right? And all these tabs, they go into a bucket, and we draw one name out of that tab in the after party, and they get the Haldegris Bobblebrook's bundle. Basically, it pays to shop.
Yeah, definitely. It does pay to shop, right? That's pretty awesome. Again, no surprise you've been doing this for a little while, right? And another thing that's been happening for a little while is Here Be Monsters. Chris, that's your territory. Tell me a little bit about Here Be Monsters.
Kind of before everything gets rolling publicly, we tend to start off with something a little lighthearted, and that's where Here Be Monsters sort of comes in. Basically we have this map, and we place a graphic of a monster on it. And then people going to the website can vote on the location of where that monster's lair ends up. They have 3 locations to pick from. And at the end of the week, we tally them up. And at the following week, we announce where that one ended up and put up a new critter. And it's pretty fun. It's lighthearted. It's nothing where you're asking people for a ton of their time, but it gets them interacting. And it gives me a reason to draw. So we all win.
Chris is the one who's behind all of those monsters, or in this case, it's a sorceress this week. Justin Andrew Mason is the one behind those maps. So, I mean, credit where credit is due. They both do outstanding jobs, and it's just a great little thing to have.
He does great maps too. Man.
It's a really cool and fun thing that goes on, and you'll hear about it throughout the year if you follow the AetherCon Twitter account, which is a really fun little thing that you all are doing. And it's interesting because I know it's like as soon as AetherCon is done, I feel like you all start working on the next one. So, Stephen, did you want to talk a little bit about analytics for this thing?
Well, did I want to?
Do you feel
grade
the
10.
need to?
Yeah, I flunked grade 10 math, so be warned. But I did want to get a couple of numbers out there that I feel are warranted, and I think are a reflection on the hard work that all of the staff have put into this event. For the third straight year, we have set attendance records for unique hits. From 780 to 960, now 1175. That's 1175 different people that have come to our site over the weekend and have done stuff. Our total sessions. So those 1175 people were on our site almost 2,600 times. So they went there, they saw stuff, and then they came back. And some of them came back again even. And we topped 13,000 total page views for the second year running. And these are pretty good numbers in terms of what folks have told me who know much more about this than I do. I can only say, hey, these are great, and they can probably say, hey, these are great because our page views per session were also really good. We set a record at 5.16 pages seen per visit, and the average time on site for the third year in a row was above 5:30. So above 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's not a case of a person going to the site, looking at one page for like 5 minutes, and then looking at 4 other pages for 16 seconds. They're going to our site and looking at the different pages, and looking at different parts of it and are interested in different parts. And this is never a bad thing. If it's a case of they're just going to one page, that really skews the analytics, and it's not a good thing. You want people moving around your site. In terms of numbers in the vendors hall in Bubblebrook's Bazaar, we set records there last year with 24 in the vendors hall and 28 in Bubblebrook's Bazaar. And as mentioned, we already have 17 in the vendors hall. So chances are we'll break that record. And if we break that record, there's a good chance we'll break Bubblebrook's Bazaar as well.
Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations. That must be a great feeling to have those kinds of numbers and to see that going on. And what about Anvil Alley, Stephen?
Anvil Alley, this is our 4th year for that. It's a miniature painting tourney designed on pattern, I should say, after the World Cup of football. So you have group play, and then you have knockout rounds for the winners of those groups. There's 16 entries from 8 different countries this year, which is really good because normally in past ones we've had, for the most part, many from the US, many from the UK or England, and not so many from anywhere else. We've got a couple of Australians in there this year, a New Zealander in this year, Netherlands, Italy. I mean, we're really starting to branch out geographically, and that's a really good thing. We're really proud of the fact that we're starting to get out of the fact that we have like this massive block of just US and another massive block of just England. We want to branch out into other places and get people interested in AetherCon from all over the world, and this is a reflection of that. They are painting the miniatures now. The images of those miniatures will be due at the end of August. September is a massive month for that. So if miniatures is your bag, stay tuned in September. There's an awful lot of stuff. The draw show is in there, the groupings announcement, all that. And then in October, we will be previewing the group image. with all 4 of the miniatures, because there's 4 miniatures: a cleric, a fighter, a wizard, and a rogue, right? And we will be showing one group image from each of the entrants throughout October, so you kind of have an idea of what you're looking at. You'll see that on our Pinterest page. Every time you vote, you can only vote once for each of those, but every time you vote, your name goes in a hat for the Anvil Alley bundle. I believe Ed mentioned that prior. But so the more times you vote, the more times your name goes in there, right? And again, in the after party, there's an after party starting at 7 p.m. EST at the end of the day. If you want to win prizes and you did enter, you should show up at the after party.
Now it's time to talk about my favorite part of any con, the RPGs. Ed, what's happening with the RPGs over there at AetherCon?
Oh, we have a lot of opportunity for RPGs at AetherCon this year. Now, it's a little early in the season to tell you exactly which ones are going to be out there, but we have historically had an amazing variety of games available. Whether you're one of the guys who really appreciates the old school games like first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons or Car Wars, all the way up to guys who are debuting new products and new games. One of the great things about AetherCon is you may have the opportunity to participate in a game that's being run by the author of the game. I mean, if you went to one of the large in-person conventions and you tried to get in on a game of Call of Cthulhu being run by the guys from Chaosium, you'd have a hard time getting into that game. But they run multiple games at AetherCon. So there's an opportunity for you to get in there with the people that actually created a lot of games.
That's really, really great. And speaking of great gaming experiences, I believe it is time for you, Ed, to tell me the funniest gaming story ever.
I am not going to tell you the funniest gaming story ever. What I can tell you is we are looking for the funniest gaming story ever. Now, last year we debuted this prize package. It started out as something that we ran in our convention program magazine. We would go out and ask RPG luminaries, publishers, writers, artists, to tell us what their funny gaming stories were. The problem was some of those submissions that we got were not particularly funny. They weren't actually gaming related. Some of them, you could hardly even call them stories. So I went back to the Canadian, our master, and I told him what we need to do is ask the gaming community to provide their funny game stories. And then we'll let the community decide which ones are really funny. And he said, that's a great idea. And we should give somebody a prize if they give us the funniest gaming story ever. So last year we debuted that. We had 4 different rounds where people could come in and read the funny gaming stories that were submitted there on the AetherCon website and vote on which ones they thought were best. And the one who wins is going to get a prize package, and their game will be published in the AetherCon convention magazine this year. Now, if you want to participate in that, we're going to start taking the submissions for that on the 7th of May. So keep a lookout on the AetherCon website and over at our Facebook page and our other social media areas, and look for that announcement so that you can submit your funny gaming story to us, because yours could be the funniest ever.
That is awesome, and a really cool and fun contest that you all are running. So if you've got a funny gaming story, you could win a yet-to-be-determined prize package. So I think that is going to do it for this episode of Tabletop Babble. But before we go, where can people find you on the internet, Stephen?
www.aethercon.com, and that is spelt AETHERCON.com. We're also out there at AetherCon on Twitter, If you look for AetherCon on Pinterest, you'll find us. Google the same. If you search, you'll see us there as well. We also have a YouTube channel that is called AetherCon now, instead of an incredibly long string of random letters and numbers. And we're happy about that because we now have over 100 folks who are subscribed to our channel, which allows us to do such things. If you want to take a look at any podcasts from previous years, they're all there.
That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are putting out so much stuff for free. Thank you so much for all this amazing content you're generating. Chris, where can people find you?
Well, as an artist, I'm all over online, but if I were to give you one address, I would say www.artisticways.com, and that should take you to my portfolio and kind of the portal to my online presence.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, it's great to have you back here, man. And
thank you very much.
Ed, where can people find you?
People seldom find me on the internet because I hide. However, if people want to get in touch with me, either through the AetherCon website, www.aethercon.com, AETHERCON. You can find us out on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, or you can reach me via email at edward@aethercon.com. And if you've got questions about prize support, if you're a publisher that wants to get in on this, if you've got questions about prizes that you would like to try to get yourself qualified for, or if you just want to talk about some of the RPGs that we've got coming up, please send me an email. I'm glad to respond, probably sometime within a week or so.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today on Tabletop Babble. That was a great interview with Stephen, Chris, and Ed. You know, normally this is the time I would take a moment to read you one of our iTunes reviews, but I've actually run out of iTunes reviews to read, so I'm just gonna improv a song about how sad I am that no one is leaving reviews on iTunes. They're free to make an account. And even if you hate Apple, you should create an iTunes account, because odds are your podcatcher app uses the iTunes algorithms to rate and recommend podcasts. All right, so there you go. You can look forward to more of that if I don't have iTunes reviews to read. Now all the one-star reviews are coming in, I'm sure. People, you can find out all of the cool game design stuff I'm doing over at worldbuilderblog.me. There are going to be some big announcements coming there this summer, so check it out. And you can follow me on Twitter at James Introcaso. Tabletop Babble is a show on the Don't Split the Podcast Network. Thanks to Rudy Basso for founding it with me. Our theme music, which you're listening to right now, was provided by BattleBards. Don't forget that RPGs are like sex. Wash your hands before you play. Hey everybody, before we go, I just wanted to let you know about our other sponsor for this podcast. I'm talking about Kobold Press, makers of fine 5th edition D&D products and Pathfinder products. And I'm going to tell you all about the Midgard Campaign setting. Right now, the Midgard Campaign setting, a dark fantasy 5th edition D&D and Pathfinder setting from Kobold Press, is available. You could get both the World Book and the Heroes Handbook. The World Book is for DMs. It's got tons of awesome information and new game material. Plenty of stuff that you can rip out and add to your homebrew world. But why would you want to? Because Midgard is awesome. Definitely check it out. Wolfgang and I did a whole episode of Tabletop Babble talking about it. The Heroes Handbook is basically a player's handbook too. It's got lots and lots of awesome options, and it's a whole book for you players. You don't need to worry about turning to the wrong page, seeing monster statistics, or getting, some secrets that you're not supposed to get. Plus, it's got all of the amazing play-tested, proven mechanics from Kobold Press, makers of amazing products. Check it out today at koboldpress.com. Check it out on the Kobold store. It is the Midgard World Book and Heroes Handbook.